In the heart of New York City, where skyscrapers gleam and secrets simmer, a single misstep is about to ignite a story of deception, love, and redemption. Imagine a penthouse at the plaza, alive with the buzz of an elite party. Glasses clink, deals are whispered, and jazz hums in the background. Amid this opulence, Catherine Reynolds, disguised as Catherine Harper, a freelance journalist, moves with purpose. Hired as a temporary housekeeper for the night, she's not here to serve drinks or tidy rooms. She's on a covert mission to expose Margaret Sinclair, a woman whose elegance masks a ruthless heart. But in one chaotic moment, Catherine's about to stumble into a situation that will change everything. Catherine weaves through the penthouse, her pulse racing like a drumbeat. In her pocket, a sleek pen camera, her tool to catch Margaret's affair with a shady business partner. Her eyes scan the crowd, searching for Margaret's telltale red gown. She's driven by a promise to her father, James Reynolds, but more on that later. Right now, her phone buzzes with a text from William Foster, the loyal family butler who's her only ally. Check the area behind the living room. Quick! Catherine glances at the bustling living room, where guests in tuxedos and gowns sip champagne. Behind the living room, she spots a door marked private near a marble staircase. That's got to be it, she thinks, assuming it's an office where Margaret's secrets might hide. Her grip tightens on the pen camera. This could be her shot. She takes a deep breath, smooths her black blazer, and slips toward the door. The penthouse is a labyrinth of luxury, chandeliers casting golden light, modern art gleaming on the walls. Catherine's out of her element, but trained to blend in. She reaches the door, checks for prying eyes, and turns the handle, her pen camera now in hand, ready to record anything incriminating. The door opens, and Catherine freezes. This isn't an office. It's a bathroom, modern and steamy, with a glass shower in the corner. Worse, Alexander Montgomery, the billionaire tech mogul who owns this penthouse and the emerald ring she needs, is inside, showering. His silhouette moves through the steam, unaware. Panicked, Catherine fumbles with the pen camera, thinking she's in a room with Margaret's evidence. Her thumb slips, accidentally clicking the record button, the camera's tiny lens pointing forward as she steps in. Before she can stop it, the camera catches a glimpse of Alexander. Then he spins around, his voice booming,
"What the hell? Get out of here!"
Catherine's face burns, her heart lurching. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought this was the office." She stumbles back, the pen camera slipping from her shaking hands and clattering to the tiles. Alexander steps out, wrapping a towel around his waist, his eyes blazing with suspicion. He's tall, commanding, his presence overwhelming. Catherine's mind scrambles for an excuse. She can't let him know her real mission. "I was checking for party supplies, napkins, stuff like that." Alexander's brow arches, unconvinced. He snatches the pen camera, holding it up like a smoking gun. "Party supplies? What's this, Harper? Trying to film me for some tabloid trash?" Catherine's stomach drops, the camera's red light still blinking from her accidental click. "No, sir. That's just a pen. A fancy pen for notes. I'm a journalist always jotting ideas." Alexander's gaze narrows. He's no stranger to journalists. Years ago, a news outlet mangled his words, branding him a heartless tycoon, and he's distrusted the press ever since. "You're trouble, Harper," he says, pocketing the camera, "but I'm keeping you close. You're my full-time housekeeper now. Try anything shady and you're done." Catherine forces a smile, her mind screaming, disaster. She's supposed to stay invisible, not under the thumb of the man who holds her father's ring. But as she nods and hurries out, she catches a spark in Alexander's eyes. Suspicion mixed with curiosity, maybe even intrigue. It sends a jolt through her, not just from fear. Now, let's step back to understand Catherine's stakes. 3 months ago, her father, James Reynolds, head of Reynolds Real Estate, died mysteriously. On his deathbed, he revealed a crushing truth to Catherine. His second wife, Margaret Sinclair, had cheated, manipulated him, and was scheming to seize the family empire. James hid a will in an emerald ring, its chip unlocking a bank vault. That ring, he said, was Catherine's key to reclaiming her inheritance. But there's a hitch. The ring was auctioned after James's death, bought by Alexander Montgomery, a billionaire with a taste for rare artifacts. Catherine tracked it to his penthouse, and with William's help, she crafted her journalist cover to get close. Posing as Catherine Harper, she pitched a story on New York's elite, a perfect excuse to snoop. But now, after her camera fumble in the bathroom, her plans teetering. As Catherine returns to the living room, the party pulsing around her, she spots Margaret across the crowd. Margaret's all charm, her red gown striking, but her eyes are sharp, whispering to a slick man. Catherine's fingers itch for her camera, now in Alexander's pocket. She'll have to find another way to catch Margaret's betrayal. Alexander watches Catherine from afar, his mind churning. That camera wasn't just a pen, and her story about supplies is flimsier than tissue. Her accidental recording, however brief, only fuels his distrust. He's sure she's after a scandal, maybe about him, maybe someone else. Yet there's something about her, her quick wit, her flustered panic, that's got him hooked. He shakes his head, annoyed. Stay sharp, Montgomery. Unbeknownst to them, Margaret's already suspicious. A tip from an investigator whispers that someone's digging into her past. Her smile tightens as she glances at Catherine, her mind plotting. If this housekeeper is trouble, she'll be silenced. Catherine's phone buzzes again. William's text, "Be careful, Margaret's dangerous." She grips the phone, her resolve firming. She promised her father she'd fight, and no billionaire or scheming stepmother will stop her. But as she catches Alexander's piercing gaze across the room, her stomach flips. This mission just got a lot trickier. The morning sun filters through the towering windows of Alexander Montgomery's penthouse, casting golden streaks across the marble floors. Catherine Reynolds, still reeling from last night's bathroom blunder, stands in the kitchen, polishing silverware with a cloth she barely notices. Her mind is elsewhere, tangled in a web of worry. That pen camera, her only tool to catch Margaret Sinclair's treachery, is in Alexander's hands. He's made her his full-time housekeeper to keep her close, and his sharp eyes seem to follow her every move. Catherine's no stranger to high stakes. She's the daughter of James Reynolds, a man who built an empire from nothing. But this is a tightrope she's never walked before. She needs to outsmart a billionaire and a scheming stepmother, and she's running out of time. Her phone buzzes softly in her pocket. She glances around, ensuring the kitchen is empty, and pulls it out. A text from William Foster, the loyal butler who's been her guide since her father's death, glows on the screen. Margaret's at the gala tonight. Get evidence if you can. Catherine's pulse quickens. The gala, hosted by Montgomery Enterprises, is her chance to catch Margaret in a compromising moment. Without her pen camera, though, she's got to rely on her wits. She looks toward the staircase leading to Alexander's office, where he's probably inspecting that camera right now. If she's going to get it back, she'll need to play this smart. Upstairs, Alexander paces his office, the pen camera sitting on his glass desk like a puzzle he can't solve. He's turned it over a dozen times, spotting the tiny lens and blinking light that confirm his suspicions. This isn't just a pen. Catherine's story about checking party supplies last night was absurd, and her journalist excuse? He's not buying it. He's had run-ins with the press before, like that article years ago that painted him as a cold-blooded tycoon, twisting his words until his own board questioned him. Catherine Harper, with her quick excuses and nervous charm, is hiding something big. But what? And why does he keep thinking about her, the way her eyes widened in panic when she stumbled into his bathroom? He pushes the thought away, irritated. Stay sharp, Montgomery. Catherine's wiping down a countertop when Alexander strides into the kitchen, his tailored suit crisp despite the early hour. "Catherine," he says, his voice smooth but laced with suspicion. "We need to talk about your little pen." He holds it up, twirling it like a magician with a trick. "Care to explain why a housekeeper needs a gadget like this?" Catherine's heart lurches, but she's ready. "Oh, that? It's for my journalism side gig. I record interviews sometimes, for my article on New York's elite. Totally harmless. Alexander smirks, unconvinced. Interviews, huh? So you weren't trying to fill me in the shower for some tabloid headline? Catherine's cheeks burn. No way, I'd never. I'm a professional, Mr. Montgomery. Professional, Alexander scoffs, stepping closer. You're writing a piece on me, aren't you? Digging for dirt? His eyes search hers, probing for a lie. Catherine laughs, hoping it sounds natural. Dirt on you? Please, I'm more interested in your penthouse's decor. Did you know your living room's vibe is all wrong? Needs a water feature, maybe some bamboo. Alexander blinks, caught off guard. Bamboo? You're serious? Dead serious, Catherine says, leaning into the absurdity. It's from my article, you know, Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous. For a moment, Alexander just stares, then lets out a low chuckle that sends a shiver through her. You're something else, Harper. But I'm keeping this pen until I figure out what you're really up to. He pockets the camera and walks away, leaving Catherine to exhale a breath she didn't know she was holding. She caught a flicker of amusement in his eyes, maybe even interest. Is he playing her? Or is she getting under his skin? Either way, she's got to make it to that gala and find another way to expose Margaret. Hours later, the gala unfolds at a grand Manhattan hotel, its ballroom aglow with crystal chandeliers and the hum of jazz. New York's elite swirl around, their conversations a mix of stock tips and real estate gossip. Catherine's there, no longer in her housekeeper's blazer, but a sleek black dress Alexander insisted she wear to blend in. She feels like a fish out of water among the glittering crowd, but her focus is razor-sharp on Margaret Sinclair, who's gliding through the room in a ruby-red gown. Margaret's smile is polished, but her eyes are cold, and she's whispering to a man Catherine recognizes from last night's party. Their closeness screams trouble, and Catherine's fingers twitch, wishing for her pen camera. Alexander, though, is making her job impossible. He's sticking close, introducing her to guests as his new housekeeper, his hand brushing her arm in a way that sends her pulse into overdrive. "Keep up, Harper," he murmurs, steering her through the crowd. "Don't want you sneaking off to rearrange my decor." Catherine forces a smile, her nerves fraying. "Very funny, Mr. Montgomery. I'm just here to keep the champagne flowing." "Sure you are," he says, his voice low, almost teasing. "But I've got my eye on you." Catherine's about to snap back when Charlotte Sinclair, Margaret's daughter, sweeps toward them. Charlotte's a vision in a designer dress, her charm as calculated as her mother's. "Mr. Montgomery?" she says, barely glancing at Catherine. "I was hoping we could discuss a partnership. Mother speaks so highly of you." Alexander nods, his politeness practiced, but his gaze drifts back to Catherine, who's edging toward Margaret. "Stay put, Harper," he says, catching her wrist gently. "We're not done here." Catherine's stuck, her chance to trail Margaret slipping away. Charlotte's eyes narrow, picking up on Alexander's focus. Later, in a quiet corner, she pulls Margaret aside. "Mother, that Harper woman's trouble. I saw her lurking at the penthouse last night. We should check her out." Margaret's smile tightens. "Oh, we will, darling. No one gets in our way." Catherine finally breaks free, slipping behind a velvet curtain to eavesdrop on Margaret and her mystery man. Without her pen camera, she's relying on her phone's audio recorder. She catches fragments, words like deal and offshore accounts. It's not enough to bury Margaret, but it's a clue. Before she can hear more, a hand lands on her shoulder. She spins, heart pounding, to find Alexander. "What's your deal, Harper?" he says, his voice low but intense, hiding behind curtains, writing a gossip column. Catherine's mind races. "I was checking the decor. These curtains are totally wrong for the vibe." Alexander's lips twitch like he's fighting a smile. "You're a terrible liar." He steps closer, his cologne a mix of cedar and spice, his presence overwhelming. "Whatever you're up to, I'll find out. Count on it." Catherine's breath catches, not just from fear. There's a challenge in his eyes, maybe something more. She mumbles an excuse and slips away, her heart racing. This is bad. Alexander's closing in and Margaret's suspicious. But worse, She's feeling something for the man who's supposed to be her target. Back at the penthouse that night, Catherine's cleaning up gala leftovers, her mind a storm. She's got to get that pen camera back, but Alexander's presence is throwing her off. She's wiping a counter when he appears, a glass of whiskey in hand, his tie loosened. "Rough night, Harper?" he says, leaning against the counter. "You could say that," Catherine replies, avoiding his eyes. "Just trying to keep up with your world of glitz and glamour." He chuckles, a warm, low sound. "You're not what I expected. Most reporters would have sold me out by now. Why haven't you?" Catherine freezes, her heart skipping. "Because I'm not that kind of journalist," she says, hoping her voice holds. "I'm here for the story, not the scandal." Alexander studies her, his expression unreadable. "We'll see about that." He sets his glass down, his fingers brushing hers as he moves past. The touch lingers, sending a jolt through her. Catherine's alone now, the penthouse silent, but her thoughts are loud. She's here to take down Margaret, to honor her father's memory. So why does Alexander keep pulling her focus? Across town, Margaret and Charlotte sit in a dimly lit office, a private investigator's report before them. "Catherine Harper's credentials don't add up," Margaret says, her voice like ice. "Keep an eye on her. If she's digging into our business, she'll regret it." Catherine's phone buzzes with a text from William. Margaret's moving fast. "Stay sharp." She grips the phone, her resolve steeling. The gala was a bust. But she's not done. That ring, her father's legacy, is within reach. She just has to outwit a billionaire who's too perceptive and a stepmother who'd kill to keep her secrets safe. The penthouse of Alexander Montgomery is quiet now, its marble floors reflecting the soft glow of dawn. Catherine Reynolds, still masquerading as Catherine Harper, the journalist turned housekeeper, stands at a window overlooking New York's skyline. Her reflection stares back, weary but determined. Last night's gala was a bust. She got close to catching Margaret Sinclair's shady dealings, but without her pen camera still in Alexander's possession, she came away with only scraps of audio. Worse, Margaret and her daughter Charlotte are sniffing around, suspicious of her every move. And then there's Alexander, the billionaire who's supposed to be her mark, but keeps stirring feelings she can't afford. Catherine grips her phone, waiting for a message from William Foster, the butler who's been her anchor. She's so close to that emerald ring, her father's final gift, but the walls are closing in. Her phone vibrates and Catherine's heart skips. It's William, but the message isn't his usual cautious advice. "Come to the Brooklyn address below, alone, or I'm dead." A second text follows, a photo of William, his face bruised, tied to a chair in a dimly lit room. Catherine's blood runs cold. Margaret's behind this, she knows it. The address is a rundown apartment complex, far from the glitz of man. She glances toward Alexander's office, where he's probably working, oblivious to the storm brewing. She could ask for help, but he'd never believe her, not with his distrust of journalists. No, this is on her. She grabs her coat, slips out of the penthouse, and hails a cab, her mind racing with fear and resolve. Across town, Alexander sits at his desk, the pen camera still in his drawer. He's been watching Catherine closer than ever since the gala, where he caught her lurking behind a curtain, her phone glowing with some secret recording. Her excuses about decor and feng shui are creative, he'll give her that, but they're lies. He's sure she's after a story. Maybe about him, maybe about one of his guests, but there's something about her fire, her quick wit, that's got him second-guessing. He's been burned by the press before, a news outlet twisting his words into a caricature of greed, but Catherine doesn't strike him as that kind of shark. Still, he can't shake the feeling she's playing him. When his assistant mentions Catherine left in a hurry, his gut tightens. Where's she off to now? Catherine's cab pulls up to a crumbling apartment building in Brooklyn, its windows boarded, the air heavy with neglect. She double-checks the address, her pulse hammering. The street is empty, but she feels eyes watching. She slips inside, following the text's instructions to the third floor. The hallway is dim, smelling of mildew and stale cigarette smoke. She finds the apartment door ajar, her hand trembling as she pushes it open. Inside, William is there, bound to a chair, his eyes wide with warning. "Catherine, run!" he rasps, but before she can move, two men in dark jackets step from the shadows, their faces hard. "Going somewhere, Harper?" one says, his voice like gravel. He holds up her phone, now in his grip, and smashes it under his boot. Catherine's heart sinks. That phone had her audio from the gala, her only evidence against Margaret. The second man, taller, pulls out a knife, its blade glinting in the faint light. "Mrs. Sinclair wants a word," he says. "But first, you're going to tell us who you really are." Catherine's mind races. She's no fighter, but she's not helpless. She glances at William, his nod subtle but clear. "Stall them." "I'm just a journalist," she says, her voice steadier than she feels. "I was writing a piece on the gala, got curious about some business deals. That's all." The tall man laughs, cold and sharp. "Curious, huh? You've been poking into things that don't concern you." He steps closer, the knife inches from her face. "Last chance. Who sent you?" Catherine's about to answer when a crash echoes from the hallway. The door flies open, and Alexander Montgomery storms in, flanked by two security guards. His face is a mask of fury, his eyes locking onto Catherine. "Step away from her," he says, his voice low but lethal. The guards move forward, their presence enough to make the thugs hesitate. The gravel-voiced man sneers. "This ain't your business, Montgomery. Walk away." Alexander doesn't flinch. "You're on my radar now," he says. "My team's already got your faces on camera outside. Leave or you'll be in cuffs by morning." The tall man curses, glancing at his partner. They back off, slipping out a side door, but not before the gravel-voiced one spits a warning. "Tell Sinclair we're done." Catherine rushes to William, untying him, her hands shaking. He's bruised but alive, his eyes grateful. "Thank you," he whispers. But Catherine's focus shifts to Alexander, who's clutching his arm, a small cut bleeding through his sleeve from a scuffle at the door. "What are you doing here?" Catherine asks, her voice a mix of relief and confusion. Alexander's eyes are stormy. "I had you followed, Harper. You've been acting shady since that bathroom stunt. Thought you were meeting a source for some exposé." He pauses, his gaze softening. "Didn't expect this." Catherine's throat tightens. She wants to explain, but William's cough pulls her back. "We need to get him out of here," she says. Alexander nods, his guards helping William to his feet. They pile into Alexander's car, the city blurring past as they head back to Manhattan. Catherine sits beside Alexander, the silence heavy. She knows she owes him answers, but every word risks blowing her cover. Back at the penthouse, William's patched up by a private doctor. Alexander calls in. Catherine sits in the living room, her mind a whirlwind. Alexander saved her, risked his own safety. But why? He doesn't trust her. She glances at him, standing by the window, his jaw tight. The cut on his arm is bandaged now, but it's a reminder of what just happened. She feels a pang of guilt and something else, a warmth she can't ignore. Alexander turns, his voice cutting through the quiet. "All right, Harper. No more games. What's going on? Who were those guys, and why were you in that dump?" Catherine's heart pounds. She could lie, keep up the journalist act, but Alexander's staring at her like he sees right through her. She takes a breath, her decision made. "I'm not who you think," she says, her voice steady. "My name's Catherine Reynolds. James Reynolds was my father. He died 3 months ago, and Margaret Sinclair, his second wife, betrayed him. She's trying to steal his company, my family's legacy. He left a will in an emerald ring, the one you bought at auction. I came here to get it back, to stop her." Alexander's eyes widen, processing her words. "You're saying you've been lying to me this whole time? Posing as a reporter to snoop through my house?" Catherine winces but holds his gaze. "Yes, I had no choice. Margaret's dangerous. You saw what she did to William. I needed that ring to prove my father's will, to take back what's mine." Alexander runs a hand through his hair, pacing. "This is insane. You expect me to believe you're some heiress playing spy?" That ring's just a collectible, Harper, or whatever your name is. It's not, Catherine says, her voice breaking. It's got a chip inside, a key to a bank vault. My father told me before he died, please, Alexander, you have to help me. He stops, looking at her, really looking. There's pain in her eyes, a raw honesty he can't dismiss. He's been lied to before, but this feels different. I'll think about it, he says finally, but don't expect me to trust you yet. He pulls the pen camera from his pocket, tossing it to her. You'll need this more than I do. But if you're playing me, Catherine, you'll wish you never walked into my bathroom. Catherine catches the camera, her fingers trembling. Thank you, she whispers, but Alexander's already turning away, his expression unreadable. She clutches the camera, her mind racing. She's got a piece of her plan back, but at what cost? Alexander's in this now, whether he wants to be or not, and Margaret's closing in. William, resting in a guest room, gives her a nod from the doorway. You're close, he says. Don't let her win. Catherine nods, but her eyes linger on Alexander's retreating figure. She came here to fight for her father's legacy, to honor a promise made on his deathbed. But now, with Alexander's bandage, a stark reminder of his sacrifice, she's fighting for something else. Something she can't name. Margaret's out there, her schemes tightening like a noose, and Catherine's running out of time. She grips the pen camera, its weight a lifeline. Whatever happens next, she's not backing down. The penthouse of Alexander Montgomery hums with tension, its sleek interiors a stark contrast to the storm brewing within. Catherine Reynolds stands in the living room, clutching the pen camera Alexander returned to her just hours ago. Her heart still races from the events in Brooklyn, where Margaret Sinclair's hired thugs nearly ended her mission and William Foster's life in a grimy apartment. Alexander's intervention saved them, but at a cost. She's revealed her true identity as Catherine Reynolds, daughter of James Reynolds, and her desperate quest for the emerald ring that holds her father's will. Alexander's agreed to help, but his trust is fragile, his eyes still shadowed with doubt. Catherine knows time's running out. Margaret's closing in, and the ring, her key to justice, is locked in Alexander's safe. Catherine's phone buzzes with a message from William, now recovering in a guest room. Bank vault access confirmed. Use the ring today. She exhales, her resolve hardening. The emerald ring, with its hidden chip, is her father's final weapon against Margaret's betrayal. She glances at Alexander, who's on a call in his office, his voice low but firm. He's arranging security for the bank visit, a move that surprises her. After all, he's a billionaire who thrives on control, burned by the press and wary of her lies. Yet here he is, risking his neck for her. She pushes down a flutter in her chest. Focus, Catherine. This isn't about him. It's about her father's legacy. Alexander ends his call and joins her, his expression unreadable. Ready, Reynolds, he says, using her real name for the first time. The bank's expecting us, but if this is some elaborate con, you're done. Catherine meets his gaze, unflinching. It's not a con. You'll see. Thank you for this. He nods, a flicker of something, maybe respect, crossing his face. Let's move. They arrive at a high-security bank in Manhattan, its steel vault buried deep underground. Catherine holds the emerald ring, retrieved from Alexander's safe, its green facets glinting under the fluorescent lights. A bank manager leads them to the vault, where a scanner awaits. Catherine's hands tremble as she places the ring against the reader. A soft beep, and the vault door clicks open, revealing a small box. Inside is a USB drive, her father's will encoded within. She clutches it, tears pricking her eyes. James Reynolds kept his promise, even from the grave. Alexander watches, his skepticism softening. You weren't lying, he says quietly. This is real. Catherine nods, her voice thick. My father trusted me to finish this. I won't let him down. Back at the penthouse, Catherine uploads the will to her laptop, her fingers flying. The document names her as the sole heir to Reynolds' real estate, stripping Margaret of any claim. But she needs more to bury her stepmother. She pulls up the audio from her phone, salvaged from the gala, and the recording from Brooklyn where the thugs mentioned Margaret's name. It's enough, combined with William's testimony, to prove Margaret's crimes. Catherine's ready for the final blow, but it means facing Margaret head-on. Alexander, standing nearby, breaks the silence. There's a shareholders' meeting for Reynolds Real Estate tomorrow. Margaret's presenting herself as the new head. If you're going to do this, that's your stage. Catherine's eyes widen. Tomorrow? That's soon. You've got the evidence, Alexander says, his voice steady. Use it. I'll back you up. She looks at him, surprised by his conviction. Why are you helping me? You don't trust journalists, and I lied to you. Alexander hesitates, then meets her gaze. Because I see you, Catherine. You're not like the others, and maybe I'm tired of playing it safe. Her heart skips, but there's no time to dwell. The next day, the shareholders' meeting unfolds in a sleek Manhattan boardroom, its windows framing the city skyline. Margaret Sinclair stands at the head of the table, her smile polished, her voice dripping with confidence. Shareholders, she says, I'm here to lead Reynolds Real Estate into a new era, as James would have wanted. Catherine strides in, Alexander at her side, drawing gasps from the room. Margaret's smile falters, her eyes narrowing. Who is this? She demands, though Catherine sees recognition in her gaze. I'm Catherine Reynolds, Catherine says, her voice clear and strong. James Reynolds' daughter, and I'm here to reclaim what's mine. The room erupts in murmurs. Margaret laughs, sharp and cold. You? You're a nobody. This company is mine. Catherine doesn't flinch. She connects her laptop to the projector, her hands steady. Let's see what the evidence says. She plays the audio from the gala, Margaret's voice discussing offshore accounts with her shady partner. Then the Brooklyn recording, the thugs implicating Margaret in the kidnapping. Finally, she displays the will, its digital signature undeniable. James Reynolds named me his heir, she says. Margaret betrayed him, cheated, and tried to kill to keep her secrets. She's done. The shareholders gasp, their faces a mix of shock and outrage. Margaret's composure cracks, her voice rising. Lies. This is a setup. You have no proof. William Foster steps forward, his bruises still visible. I'm proof, he says. Margaret ordered my kidnapping. I heard her voice on the phone. Alexander speaks, his presence commanding. I was there in Brooklyn. I saw her men. Catherine's telling the truth. Margaret's eyes dart to Charlotte, who's frozen in her seat, her face pale. The shareholders turn on Margaret, demanding answers. Security enters, summoned by Alexander, and police officers follow, their handcuffs gleaming. Margaret Sinclair, you're under arrest for conspiracy and attempted murder, an officer says, leading her away. Margaret's protests echo as Charlotte slinks out, her dreams of power shattered. The room falls silent, the shareholders looking to Catherine. She stands tall, her father's will in hand. Reynolds Real Estate is mine, she says. I'll honor my father's vision, starting now. Later, back at the penthouse, Catherine sits alone, the weight of her victory sinking in. She's won, but exhaustion tugs at her. Alexander joins her, his expression softer than she's ever seen. You did it, he says. I didn't think you could pull it off. Catherine smiles faintly. I had help. Thank you, Alexander, for everything. He sits beside her, close enough that she feels his warmth. You're not what I expected, Catherine. I thought you were just another reporter, out for a scoop, but you're different. She looks at him, her guard lowering, and you're not the cold tycoon I thought you were. Why did you stick by me? Alexander's eyes hold hers, intense, because you got under my skin. From that ridiculous bathroom moment, I couldn't shake you. Catherine's breath catches, but a wave of nausea hits her, sudden and sharp. She excuses herself, rushing to the bathroom. She's been feeling off for weeks, chalking it up to stress, but now, with the fight over, it's undeniable. She thinks back to the night after the gala, a moment of weakness when she and Alexander, caught up in the chaos, shared a fleeting, passionate night. A visit to a doctor yesterday confirmed her suspicion. She's pregnant. She returns to the living room, her face pale. Alexander's on his feet, concerned. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." Catherine takes a breath, her voice trembling. "There's something you need to know. I'm not just Catherine Reynolds. I'm carrying your child." Alexander freezes, his eyes wide. "My child? You're serious?" She nods, bracing for his reaction. "I found out yesterday. I didn't plan this, but it's real." For a moment, silence hangs heavy. Then Alexander steps closer, his hand reaching for hers. "I've been lied to before," he says, his voice low. "But you're not lying now. I see it in you." He pauses, a small smile breaking through. "We're in this together, Catherine. You, me, and whoever this kid turns out to be." Catherine's tears spill over, relief and hope flooding her. She steps into his arms, their embrace a promise. Charlotte's voice echoes from the doorway, bitter but defeated. "You're no journalist," she spits, having overheard. "You're just a thief who got lucky." Alexander turns, his arm around Catherine. "She's more than you'll ever be," he says. "Get out." Charlotte flees, her footsteps fading. Catherine looks at Alexander, her heart full. "I came here for my father," she says, "but I found you." He brushes a tear from her cheek, his touch gentle. "And I found you. Let's see where this goes." The New York skyline sparkles under a velvet night, its lights a tapestry of dreams and ambition. In Alexander Montgomery's penthouse, the air is warm with possibility. Catherine Reynolds stands on the rooftop terrace, her hand resting on her slightly rounded belly, a smile playing on her lips. Months have passed since the dramatic showdown in the boardroom, where she exposed Margaret Sinclair's betrayal and reclaimed her father's legacy. The emerald ring, once a symbol of her fight, now rests in a glass case, its chip no longer needed, but its meaning eternal. Beside her, Alexander leans against the railing, his eyes tracing the city they both call home. Their journey, sparked by a comical bathroom mix-up and forged in danger, has led them here, to a future neither expected but both embrace. Catherine's victory over Margaret was only the beginning. With the will secured, she took the helm of Reynolds Real Estate, steering it back to her father's vision of integrity and innovation. The shareholders, once swayed by Margaret's charm, now rally behind Catherine, impressed by her resolve and the evidence that brought a criminal to justice. Margaret languishes in a cell, her schemes unraveled, while Charlotte, stripped of her mother's influence, has faded into obscurity. Catherine's heart, though, isn't in the boardroom tonight. It's with the life growing inside her, a child she and Alexander will welcome soon. Alexander turns to her, his expression softer than the man who once distrusted her every word. "You've changed this place," he says, gesturing to the penthouse. "Feels like a home now, not just a showcase." Catherine laughs, a sound lighter than it's been in months. "That's because I added some feng shui, remember? You should thank my terrible excuses." He chuckles, the memory of her stumbling into his bathroom flashing between them. "Best mistake you ever made," he says, his hand finding hers. "I was ready to throw you out, but you kept surprising me." She squeezes his hand, her eyes meeting his. "And you surprised me. I thought you were just a suspicious billionaire with too much money. Turns out, you're not half bad." "Half bad?" Alexander raises an eyebrow, pulling her closer. "I'll take it, but you're stuck with me now, Reynolds. You, me, and this kid are a team." Catherine's heart swells, the weight of her past battles lifting. She came to New York to fight for her father, James Reynolds, whose death left a void she thought she'd never fill. But in this moment, with Alexander's arm around her and their child on the way, she feels whole. The penthouse, once a battleground of secrets, is now their sanctuary, a place where they're building a family. The next day, Catherine stands in a different kind of spotlight. She's at the Reynolds Family Museum, a small but elegant space her father founded to preserve their legacy. Today it's filled with employees, shareholders, and friends, gathered for a special ceremony. Catherine steps to a podium, the emerald ring displayed in a case behind her. Her voice is steady, but emotion threads through every word. "My father, James Reynolds, built more than an empire," she says. "He built a promise, to create, to uplift, to endure. When he died, I thought that promise died with him, but I was wrong. This ring, his final gift, reminded me that his strength lives in me, in all of us who carry his vision forward. Today, I dedicate this exhibit to him, a symbol of what we can overcome when we fight for what's right. The crowd applauds, their faces reflecting pride and respect. William Foster, fully recovered, stands nearby, his eyes shining with tears. He's more than a butler, he's family, and his presence grounds Catherine. Alexander at her side places a hand on her back, a quiet gesture of support. She glances at him, grateful for the man who's become her partner in every sense. As the ceremony ends, Catherine and Alexander linger by the ring's display. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" she says, her voice soft, not just the ring, but what it means. Alexander nods, his gaze warm. "It's a hell of a story. From a bathroom blunder to this, your dad would be proud." Catherine smiles, a tear slipping down her cheek. "I hope so. But I'm proud of us, too. We're making something new, something good." He brushes the tear away, his touch gentle. "Damn right we are. And this kid's gonna have one hell of a legacy to live up to." They laugh, the sound mingling with the chatter of the crowd. The museum hums with life, a testament to James's dreams and Catherine's courage. She thinks back to that first night, her panic in the bathroom, Alexander's suspicion, and the long road that brought them here. She was a woman on a mission, driven by loss, but she's found so much more, a love that's as fierce as her fight. As they step back onto the terrace that night, the city sprawling beneath them, Catherine feels a kick, a tiny reminder of the future. Alexander places his hand on her belly, his smile wide. "Guess this kid's ready to take on New York," he says. "Just like us," Catherine replies, leaning into him. The skyline glows, a canvas of possibility, and they stand together, ready for whatever comes next. Love, Catherine realizes, doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be true. And theirs, forged in chaos and sealed in trust, is as true as it gets.